Buenos dias. What is up? We got Adam in the house. Adam, what's up, man?
Hey, how y'all doing, man? Good to be here.
We're gonna have a little fun today. We're being kind of, it's not really contrarian, but it's definitely pragmatarian. That's not even a word. We just made it one. So we are going to talk about what crypto prices should actually be, not the nonsense prices we currently see. So probably won't make everyone happy. You can't make everyone happy, can you?
I don't think that's ever a good goal.
Some people need to be unhappy. Well, I think we can grant that wish today. So let me say hello to Windy to Fly, Sniper Princess, SJO, Theta TV, Scorpion, Baykeeper, WVS 2014, Belinda, J Ben, what up? Dwight, of course, in the house, Ocean Dawn, Nefers, Stress Relief, Evgeny, da, знаю. McNabb, Emmanuel, what's going on, buddy? Okay, and then let's go over here and let's see who is with us on the YouTube. We got Scorpion Biotech Breakout, Brady. What up, Brady? Brandon, man, I had to skip coffee this morning because all the old creeps were out there. I just kind of drove on by, sad and forlorn. Mark Klein, good to see you. P. Kelly, JJ, Scott, Ella Paul, Al, what up, Al? Good to see you back, man. Leon, let's see, Key 2, good to see you. Tony Stark, Ashley, what up? Sunil, cool. So yeah, just keep Cardano investors happy. If you're, well, look, you're probably not going to be super happy with me if we're talking prices of Cardano. Remember, we're talking prices, and we'll get into it a little bit more, but when we're talking prices, that means what it is right now, and does the value proposition justify what it is right now? Now, the market will agree on a price. That's fine. We're not talking about that. We're talking about trying to quantify what these projects actually have going, and how to distill a valuation from that. Okay? So let's not confuse. Yes, the price is always right. The price you see these assets, that's correct. But that might not be logical. And I don't believe in the kind of perfect market hypothesis or the information hypothesis that all information spreads and disseminates equally, because I don't believe all people are rational players, and I don't believe that all people accurately assess value, and that's why you can make money in markets, because people don't assess value correctly. So we'll get into that a little bit more, and I won't overtalk Adam, because this video was as much his idea, more his idea than mine even. It was a great idea. Let me say hello to Joe, to Tommy, to Diamond. Let me say hello to Michael Murphy, to Scott Hill, to, of course, Leon, Michael Murphy across the pond. Thanks for joining us. Let me say hello to Alexander, Antonio, Mano, Belinda, Ryan, Claire, Sade, Victor, Akram, Bobby, Hog, Michaela, I always love that. Michaela, Chelsea, Charles, Shay, Kimmy, of course, Rona, and Ahmed. All right, cool. I got the niceties out of the way. CC Brown, Solo 75, what up? Cool. Okay, let me roll these opening graphics. We'll be right back, and then we'll get this thing going. I'll flip up some prices, and we're going to have a little fun. I will see you guys. We will see you in about 30 seconds. Okay. Well, what a difference a day makes. First, before we get started, Adam, tell everyone a little bit about yourself and what you got going on in your life right now so that they have some context.
Yeah. So name's Adam Scheidler. Been in the software game for about 8 years now, and currently running the Texan stake pool. Also have a proposal on Project Catalyst for Cardano, and really just recent a crypto enthusiast and investor.
What got you into the crypto space? What was your OS moment where you went, oh, I got to buy some crypto?
Yeah, so you know, been staying up on the news, and I mean just small dabbles a few years back, but that March event of where I just had index funds on Vanguard because Warren Buffett said that this is one, you know, this is the sure thing, and had some VOO and whatever, some different index funds, and you know, when they shit the bed, it really just put me down a rabbit hole where I was probably putting in 20, 30 hours a week into learning economics. What's going on here? Why is this not the safe bet? I can just work my job and throw some money in here and be okay. But yeah, that was really the time when I'm in zero index funds now, have a few stocks, but just lean pretty hard into crypto.
Yeah. Was there kind of a sleepless night as like the next night after you invested, did you go, oh, what have I done?
Yeah, you know, I actually felt better. It actually felt like I was taking control, you know, because I mean, for so long, I would just focus on my job. I just had that paradigm. And then I had even a 401k that was doing horribly, meaning like 1-2% a year when I did the math. And I was just kind of like this, just earning more money. And then I thought this was just a little bit of extra for what you're supposed to do rather than keeping your money in a bank. But, you know, I even talked to a few financial advisors and I just heard from them. I'm like, man, these guys kind of know what's going on. When I start asking some hard questions, I'm just getting some soft layup answers. So I just kind of figured, you know, if I'm going to spend this much time earning money, I might as well spend an equal amount of time to, you know, grow what I've earned and to put that into some smart money that I believe in, you know.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I got to ask one question. So Diamond, he put, there's a word there in Russian, and I don't know if that's a real word or if I'm getting it wrong. It's bidishishishk. Is that kumanishishis? Anyway, let me know if I'm reading that right. My Cyrillic is rusty. Okay. Let me say, oh, Mark, what's going on, Mark? Okay. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go to prices. We're going to go through the list. We're going to comment. I mean, obviously, stuff has bumped up considerably. Most of you are doing probably quite well. You're doing really well if you're in just about any GD token on the map. But, you know, listen, in an up market, I don't like the term bull market because I don't think it reflects what we're seeing. But in an up market of network effects, everybody can look like a genius. And what is it to requote Warren Buffett? You only know who's swimming naked when the tide, you know, rolls out. So we got to be careful that we don't assume that because the market's going up that we're good. Because everything's going up, it's like we're really smart. And so that's why we need to have some kind of analysis process for where we find out what we think a valuation or a proper value is on these assets at the current moment, and then like a near term and then a longer term assessment to make sure that we at least know if what we own is a trade or an investment. And so for this purpose of this conversation, we'll assume that a trade is something you would hold from 1 second to less than a year. It also would incur a short-term capital gain in the United States of 30%. So if you're banging around trades, you're banging around 30% wax. Be careful. And then an investment is something you would hold a year or longer. In my mind, a year to 3 years. I don't think any of us can imagine much past 3 years for any of these assets. But let's start at the key. Adam, tell me a little bit about Bitcoin. What's going on in your mind as far as Bitcoin? Where do you think we're at? Where do you think we should be? And some of your thoughts.
Oh man, so I think I think this is about right. With a real optimistic next, you know, 3, 5, 8, 10 years. 10 might be stretching it, but as it's changed its value proposition from a peer-to-peer value to a store of value, I think in the current place, it's positioned as a store of value whenever you're a wealthy dude or you're looking to preserve your wealth and you're looking around at all the other dirty shirts out there as stores of value. I think it presents a heck of an argument to have a significant portion of your assets that are really dedicated to storing value, to preserving your wealth.
Okay, so let's look at the current price then. We're at 54,000. Are you comfortable with that right now based on everything that's going on? Are you comfortable with 54,000? Do you think we're over our skis? Do you think we're behind where we should be?
Yeah, I feel comfortable at 54. I think that if I saw 30 again, I would not panic. I would look at buying more. I think, if I saw it jump up to 80, I would consider a short-term trade with just maybe 10% of what I had, maybe 20% of my Bitcoin. If it just skyrocketed to 80, if it slowly kept making its way there, I like it. I like corrections. I think if we just go parabolic, I don't think that's healthy. And I like a current Bitcoin price between 45 and 60.
So let me ask you this: where do you see beginning of summer? Let's say June 1, and then December 31st. Where do you see us?
June 1.
Based on value, not speculation. Where would you value it as it's slowly taken on to corporate balance sheets, as the argument is made to more and more investors, especially the YOLO culture, because there's going to be a lot of YOLO into this, in my opinion, into Bitcoin over the next few months. I think a lot of that YOLO culture has been pushed out. They've gotten burned. They're soured from the traditional stock market after the whole Wall Street bets thing. And my guess is some of that YOLO money comes into crypto, not just Dogecoin, but some of it might even go into Bitcoin. So what are your thoughts? June 1st and December 31st.
June 1st, nice round, 65K with some corrections along the way. And then I think by the end of the year, 100. I think is a nice, easy number, maybe 120, 130. And I'm with you that I think at the end of each quarter, I think we're going to see a few more corporations continuing to add. And then, I think even large corporations get FOMO. I think that they're not going to want to be the last ones in. And, I think, as much as Michael Saylor runs a pretty average company that generates revenue outside of Bitcoin, I think that it's going to be a bragging point to say, hey, I averaged in at 23K, and then I think people are going to say, shit, I don't want to be too late,
So here's where I'm at. I think that it continues to be added onto corporate balance sheets. And I think part of that creates a scenario where as these quarters roll off and they have to report, you'll see 10K filings that will show either the asset or exposure to the asset to another company that has the asset. So yeah, we're going to see that, and I imagine there'll be a little bit of excitement around quarter earnings calls and things like that, and filings.
100%. And as players like Fidelity get in and help on the custody side and the insurance side, and the easier that gets to add Bitcoin on your balance sheet, I think the more players will see in.
My guess is, my call is value wise, I think we're fine. I think anywhere really between about 35,000 and 75,000 is probably par for the course. This thing's going to wobble all over the place. It's the only asset where you essentially pivot all other assets off of this. So with Bitcoin is the internet's version of the hardest money you can get. Everything else is just kind of jockeying for some kind of value proposition. Bitcoin's value proposition has already been made. The strength of the network, and the dumb little argument, it burns up electricity and all those other stupid arguments. Those are very dumb, very flawed talking points that idiots pull out. In the saying that we should never go to space because one time a spaceship blew up. So we should never go to space because spaceships kill humans. Like, come on. So my guess is June 1st. We're somewhere between 75, 85,000. And I believe by December 31st, we've cracked 150. So we'll see. Let's talk about Ethereum. Ethereum's back on the move again. It's up 5.5% on the day, 18 on the week, 20 on the month. So kind of close. Basically, most of that action came last week. It's up 813% on the year. It's pretty good. What do you see? What's going on with Ethereum?
So I put some notes in here, and I have to rate everything off of Bitcoin. Is what makes sense to me when I'm looking at valuations. And Ethereum is about at 1/5 the market cap of Bitcoin. And as far as the number of DApps that are on, they've got 80% of the DApp market that's on Ethereum right now. If you just looked at it right now, where they're currently at today, it sounds justified. When you start kind of digging behind the curtain and you look at the leadership structure and then you look at their velocity to improve, I think the size that they've gotten to might actually be a hindrance for them to try to change the wheels while the car's running. I think they're going to have a tough go ahead of them once Avalanche, Dot, and Cardano and Near and these guys start taking off. I think they're going to have trouble keeping up with that velocity. I think their size might be a hindrance and might flip the other way for them.
So, and let me say really quick, let me say hello to Scott, Tiffany. Let me say hello to Cabeza de Termo, Durango, Donzola. What's going on? Good to see you guys over on, or guys or gals on Theta TV. I don't know. I don't want to assume pronouns. You can't assume pronouns these days. So hello. Okay. Here's my take on Ethereum. One, I don't think that they meaningfully scale in a time sufficient to compete with Polkadot and Cardano specifically. However, I do believe they do scale eventually. I know that they've got 4 different Ethereum improvement proposals that are pushing through. I believe that's with the Berlin kind of iterative upgrade. And again, that does a few little things to ease some of the tensions in the fee structure, but not much, admittedly. So that's not a big game changer, and that's not till the June, July time period if they make that mark. So I mean, maybe, but Ethereum's not going away. It's not going to disappear. Is there going to be margin erosion? Yes. However, will that margin erosion occur at a rate faster than the expansion of the overall crypto space? To which I say no, meaning that even though I believe that Ethereum is going to give up huge amounts of that addressable market to other protocol layers like Cardano, Dot, Avalanche, Cosmos, Near, things like that, I still think the price of Ethereum swells upward as the market swells, as these different pools of liquidity come in. So for me, well, let me ask you, price-wise, where should we be with Ethereum? If you value price, not current price. We know what the current price is, 1831. Value price. What say you?
So I'd say today, if I look at it today, I think it's about on the mark for what it's done, the amount of dApps it's brought in, the amount of ERC20 tokens that are built on top of it, and the players built on top of it are pretty solid projects in their own right. A lot of them in the top 30 tokens that are ERC20 tokens. So I mean, you looked at any other project, you would say, wow, okay, that's pretty big that they're the base layer for a lot of these big players that you could list off. So when I look at it today, about 1/6 of Bitcoin, I say, yeah, that sounds about right. Maybe even a little north of that. But, if I just look at things today without projecting forward.
I kind of, in my mind, I say 32, the staking limit, the original staking limit for the ETH2 contract was 32 Ethereum. And it seemed like Ethereum tracks at 32 Ethereum per Bitcoin. Kind of pretty closely, right? Like it's kind of kept in that margin. And so in my mind, I guess that makes sense. I think 32 Bitcoin, an ETH contract per Bitcoin, that might be about right. The problem is, and again, Bitcoin has been plagued by fees before, but it's a little bit different. You're not burning Bitcoin here and there to make all these transactions. And if anybody's been swapping tokens, man, moving in and out of Ethereum is a kick right in the T-ain't. So let me say hello real quick to Highs Gaming. What's up, Cassandra? Hello. Reggie Bjornson, what's going on? Grims, hello. Fish and Magician, what's going on? So that's kind of my mark. I think it can track with Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin will continue to outperform Ethereum, but I think it will stay closely pegged. Everybody's said, used to say, "Oh, Litecoin is Bitcoin's silver." Well, that's stupid. No one cares about Litecoin. Not even Charlie Lee. He created it. He doesn't care about it. So, but I do think that You look at everybody is kind of their first step in the crypto space is Bitcoin. And then they go, what next? And what does everyone tell you? Get some Ethereum. So, I mean, until that argument meaningfully changes, and guess what? Until there's real competition, which I would say there isn't. And that gets us into our next couple assets. Let's talk Ethereum. Let's talk ADA and DOT and these other protocols in relation to Ethereum. Is the margin erosion happening? Is all this stuff happening? By the way, D Caldwell, hello, or T Caldwell, DBA all day, and Philippe Trading. What's going on? Okay, Cardano. Let's talk Cardano. I'm going to let you go first. You got the ADA hat.
Just fanboying over here, but so if you look at market cap again, ADA is currently sitting at 1/5 to 1/6 relative to Ethereum. And I think closer number where I would be at is about 1/10. You know, you don't have smart contracts launched. I think there's when you want to start projecting forward, it looks pretty, but you know there's still a lot of show me that needs to happen. I think about 1/10 of Ethereum sounds about right, which puts us in the 80 cents mark, which is about how I would think about it. And I think when they can start getting 10-15% of the DApp market share, or they can start onboarding, they can seriously onboard 500 million Africans and have that kind of user base and people using the platform in that type of way for real governance and identity models, then I think the narrative changes, you know. So I'm at about 1/10 of Ethereum is where I'm at, which is about the 80 cents mark.
Yeah, I think that's a really good way to analyze Cardano. First, my argument is not with the tech, although it's not all released, but what we've seen has been very elegant, staking, widely successful. It's like you go to a birthday party and you first walk in and there's just, little crap on the walls. It's beautiful. Like, man, we're getting ready for a party, man. There's going to be a good party here. I see the kazoos in the corner. There's party hats. There's everything's ready for a party. Problem? There's no goddamn party. And they keep postponing the party. So, and they kind of do it, Charles is kind of clever. He's like, yeah, all this kind of stuff is going to be released in November. And then we're like, well, we're going to release some stuff in December, and then we'll let you know about the other stuff. Here we are in March. Goguen is still not launched. And I know software doesn't just always go by your schedule. But covering it up with, there's these little birdies, and there's these little hints, and listen, Charles has become a showman more than a show me man. And he needs to become a show me man. He needs to show us stuff. Yeah, that's right, Rocky. He's painting birds, but there's no actual birds. I'm tired of, this is the same shit as Justin Sun. Hints about hints, press releases that a press release is coming, a deal is coming. I'm going to make an announcement about a future deal. Well, what is that? Future deal. Okay, but what's the future deal? A big one. What does that even mean? Yeah, we're going to onboard a big thing, a big country. When? Well, we can't say yet. Well, then don't say. I don't want to hear that you're going to tell me something. Effing tell me something, or don't tell me nothing. Because otherwise it's just wolf tickets. I'm not, it's gotten to the point where I don't even listen to his AMAs anymore. I look at the price action after his AMAs, and if the price moved, he might have said something. Right? But like today, he just did an AMA 15 minutes ago. Price hasn't moved. What does that mean? It's a nothing burger. Right? Or people would have reacted to the news of the news of the news. This thing is way over its skis. This thing's way overpriced, in my opinion. Well, it's way over value priced. We have to create a different term. The price is correct. It's worth $1.17 because people are willing to buy and sell it and do trade. But the value price, in my opinion, probably somewhere between 50 and 65 cents. What they have does not justify $1.17. It doesn't. It's cool that it is. I got a lot of Cardano. I'm super happy for the price. I'm very uncomfortable about it though, and this doesn't feel stable to me. If this thing got cut, if it got clipped down to 80 cents tomorrow, I'd be like, had it coming. Because there's nothing. It's a token that we all stake.
Yeah, and I think that it's an interesting kind of dichotomy that Charles built, because the team, every time I see somebody with a Cardano community get on camera, I'm like, hey, they seem like, you know, somebody I would trust and somebody that has it together. They seem somebody like that a Fortune 500 company would talk to. These people seem legit. But then this birdie thing that Charles has built is he's built just short-term speculators. They just say win moon and why is it not $3? And it's like,
yeah,
why is it not $3? Zoom out, man. What are you talking about? Why is it not $3? Just check out a couple months ago. Like this thing's hockey sticked. So, you know, and I think the problem is that when Charles builds these large expectations like that, you bring in these short-term investors that just want to go to $2 quickly, get in, get out, and that's the opposite of what they've tried to build, in my opinion, as far as on the development side and academic research and the long-term type of approach. And, you know, they're just not matching up, in my opinion.
So, and Tiffany has a good question. She says, what do you think happens to Cardano if the Africa deal falls through? 80 cents. 80 cents overnight. If he came out and said, hey, this isn't happening, 80 cents. This thing would sell off so fast it'd make your nose bleed. Because it's, I mean, for being honest, there's nothing to the price right now. It does not make sense. So in my opinion, I'm not going to beat up on Cardano because I think the project has a lot of promise, but it's only promises right now. So that's not enough for me. I'm not adding. Let me put it to you that way. I'm not adding. Yeah, Rocky, well said. So Charles is all about F the price, but he's playing right into that. He ran into serious money with ADA spike and he's tripping hit on efficacy. Yeah, that's true, right? Like it's not lost to him what the price is. He likes it being over $1. So at least it's not still $1.50. That's just stupid. All right. Okay. Let's talk DOT, because DOT, I think DOT is even more ridiculously priced. What are your thoughts on DOT?
You know, I just think the current narrative is everyone is looking at ETH alternatives. So ETH alternatives are up because, you know, the whole gas fees narrative is on high and people physically feel the pain. It's very real to them. So, you know, I think DOT, I might put it about a 12th to a 15th of Ethereum, something in that price range, which I calculated puts it in the low 20s. And I mean, it was just $2 in December. So, you know, that's still incredible fast gains that it's been on. And, you know, I think part of this game is the overshoot where people see something go up and then they buy it. And that's when retail comes in and buys something that's shooting. And I think that's when we get the overshot. You know, I think we're at the overshot stage.
Yeah, DOT to me is not in any way justified. One, they're staking, and the idea behind how you stake and kind of apply that stake to these parachain auctions is a little bit nebulous. It's too complicated by about 5. I think it's very difficult for them to make the value proposition. If you're a developer, it makes sense. If you're trying to port over and connect, it kind of makes sense. Do I want to be a parachain and run this auction, or do I want to stay in Kusama, this kind of monetized test network? And what does that mean? Is that just the same thing? And that's why I don't even have Kusama, the token, on here, because it doesn't even seem like a real token. It's a test net. How the F is there a test net token? What is the value? That doesn't even make any goddamn sense. So to me, that's a little weird. And I just think that they have so much going on and it's very confusing, and they haven't kind of cleared up that message. And until they can get their messaging and their outreach going, I mean, have you heard anybody from Polkadot say anything ever?
Yeah, I mean, I think whenever you're looking to take on market share, you've got such a great story to tell. You have to get out there and tell it if that's really the game you want to play. And when you want to be Apple and Android attracting app developers, you have to make that pitch, and it has to be, you know, loud and from the mountaintops. For all of Charles's flaws, at least he's out there making the pitch. You know, I hope they start to, you know, at least have a marketing arm that's out there and getting the word out.
So what's a price? What's a price valuation for this thing? What are we PVing this thing at?
I'll put it at 22.
You know what? I'm going to sit with you at 22. I think 22 to 25 is a good range. Genius Mastermind, what's going on? Yeah, I think that's a good range. I think that's where we'll sit on that. So we were at, you were at what, 80 cents for Cardano?
About 80 cents, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to say 65 cents for Cardano. Okay, let's put XRP and XLM together. They're bridge assets. One of these looks a little safer than the other. I don't think, as just my first thoughts are, neither of these tokens are going to disappear. But Mark, what up? Neither of these tokens are going to disappear. But I'm not sure neither of these tokens either of these tokens are necessary now. I don't know if you need bridge assets. However, that being said, let's get a price valuation for these things. Your thoughts on XRP and XLM?
Oh man, I mean, I'm sorry to upset some people out there, but I think XRP is going to get ripped apart. I just, the narrative's gone south. I just don't see the massive use case and the need for XRP. I don't see the massive use case for bridge assets in general. I think that there'll be so many competitors within less than a year that the difference between, hey, I need my transaction to happen in 0.2 seconds and 0.5 seconds will not have enough of a value proposition to warrant an entire third party being involved in your transaction. I'm out on XRP. I think XLM needs to build value on top of their own protocol to really be able to have something substantial there. I like they're working with IBM, but it's still kind of gray exactly how they're working with IBM, you know, how partnerships go. But XRP has to do something on top of what they built, and nobody's going to do it for them. And I don't see them doing that. And they've got to have more of a narrative than bridge assets. And I see XLM as, you know, a better alternative, but still, I mean, I think I would not be surprised if all of these layer one solutions have already bridge asset technology where they don't need any of these tokens there. It's just not necessary.
So how do we price these things? How do we price value these things?
Whew, neither one for me would even be in the top 30 coins. And I have some XLM. Man, it wouldn't be pretty for me. I would price XRP maybe 5 cents. Put XLM right there, maybe 10. You know, I'm just, you know, I'm pretty bearish on bridge assets personally.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think anything over 20 cents is doesn't make sense to me for either of these assets. I get it. You can do some smart contract-ish functionality with XLM. Cool. They're working in Africa. That's good. They want to create financial identity, kind of. There's no staking mechanism for either of these. You run free, nodes to support the network, which is bullcrap. You have to incentivize behavior. If you don't incentivize it, people are going to fade out, or they're going to pervert the system. They're going to create an incentive where you didn't see one. So I don't buy the way their consensus is determined. I'm not a big fan of it. And I don't think bridge assets are necessary. I thought it was really funny. Did you see that 2 weeks later? Now, mind you, we go backwards 2 weeks. MoneyGram said, A, we're cutting ties. We're cutting ties with Ripple, and B, we never use the token. Right? They said this. 2 weeks later, Brad Garlinghouse comes out last night and goes, we've decided to wind down the deal with MoneyGram. What do you mean you've decided, dummy? 2 weeks ago, they fired you, you retard. Like, it doesn't, what are these guys thinking? I mean, I don't get it, man.
I mean, it would take, let's see, if I'm Chase, it would take 10 guys sitting in a room to build everything I wanted, launch my own token, put it on top of these layer ones. I could launch it across multiple layer ones. I could have that done in 6 months at most, put some regulation behind it. And now I've got Chase Coin. And now rather than me making XRP rich, I'm going to make myself rich by launching Chase Coin. I mean, that's the thing people miss. You nailed it. People, when they talk about XRP and to an extent XLM, you don't look at the distribution of the token. Okay, two jerk-offs
have nearly 20% of the tokens, minus what Jed's been selling and what, Chris Grand Larceny already sold. 20% is what they took, almost 19.5 billion tokens. They just stole them from the investors. That was a thievery, by the way. They just straight up stole them from the investors because the people that invested in Ripple didn't vote on how those tokens got allocated. Sure, they have something to say about that. So let's fast forward. Where are the rest of the tokens? Well, 53-ish billion are locked up in escrow. So you don't think that bankers and governments look at the distribution of the underlying asset as being kind of a little bit of an alarm bell for some profligate behavior? Wait, so you're telling me these two dudes have 20%, Brad and Jed. And then, not Brad and Jed, Jed and Chris. And they basically jacked them. They stole them. Cool. And then this guy's got $1 billion. This guy's got $1 billion. So you got about 21, 22 billion just in the private investors. Sorry, among like 4 people at Ripple. And then you have 53 billion. So now we're at what? 70, 73, 75 billion of the entire supply is either locked up or in the hands of 2 or 3 people, 2/3 of which have been indicted by the SEC. And then the rest is in a bunch of guys driving John Deere tractors that believe that they're going to inherit the entire planet Earth because they're in on some super secret because a cartoon flipping bear told them on a bunch of dummy videos. Come on, man. Come on. Just look at the distribution of the tokens just for a second, if for no other reason. I get it. There's all these cool use cases, blah, blah, blah. Blow it out your A. That stuff doesn't hold up water because actual adults look at this and they go, what a effing circus this is. What a circus. These dudes just printed up funny money. They're no different than the Fed. No different. Maybe they understand, value a little bit more than the Fed. But the point is, just the distribution of the tokens, if nothing else, is stupid. Now, could Ripple, the company, make a king's ransom by selling cool software? I think so. Also, the XRPL, you don't have to transact in XRP. You can transact in other assets. So I think that technology will live. I think that XRP will have very little utility, but I do think that a lot of assets will be able to flow along those rails. I do believe the Ripple company has made good inroads with banking institutions. Ripple Asia seems to be something. And people outside the United States, at least if you believe what Ripple says, and I don't, but if you do, that they still have meaningful partnerships that don't really care about what happens inside the United States. Now, I think that's bogus because you can't do business with the United States if you're doing business with a company where half their dudes are wearing handcuffs. But if they get past this, if they settle, whatever, Brad and Chris probably go away. That's what it looks like. The company gets out of this. They do have some cool software to sell. And I imagine that some banks and institutions are going to say, you know what, especially smaller banks that don't have the infrastructure to put a team together to build kind of gateways to these crypto markets to move funds. And they may not be big enough to participate in custody of crypto assets, at least at this time. They'll probably leverage Ripple's technology and their software. So Ripple has a future. I don't know. I don't think that XRP does. Anyway, that's just my 2 cents. And what should they be worth? No more than 20 cents. Either of them, no more than 20 cents. This doesn't make sense to me. Off we go. Let's not talk Theta because I don't think there's enough data for Theta.
Well, Nick, just for maybe a disagreement for the fans, what do you think about hitting Binance coins and BNB? I think.
Let's talk.
We can touch on the Coinbase IPO. The valuation of that might be interesting, and it'd be a good disagreement.
Okay, so let's talk Binance Coin. What's the value? Well, I mean, I guess you get access to the smart chain. You get access to their infrastructure. They do have an amazing exchange. Binance has wicked tech. Problem is, another 3 million went missing today from Dodo Coin or Dodo Protocol. Let me tell you something. Everybody here, anybody that invested in Dodo token, I want you to take your right hand and I want you to put it firmly around your neck. And I want you to squeeze until you wake up in the ER, you dumbass. It's called Dodo. What? My God, man. First, it was Meerkat Finance. They got nuked for $31 million. An exploit, a rug pull, people on the inside changing the code. This one was done by perverting. I think they tricked the token contract and used fake tokens, like copycat tokens, and then they repriced the collateral and did what you always do when you steal a bunch of money. Of course, CZ, super quiet. Oh, your funds are SAFU. Are they SAFU? Because if you get nuked for $35 million a week, every week, I'm not sure funds are SAFU. There's a certain point where funds are not SAFU, in SAFU. Binance Chain, the BNB, the token, it's an exchange token. It's a proxy. It's definitely a security. It's not just an unlicensed security. It's a clearly, obviously unlicensed security. And it boggles my mind. But I will say this. I did like it before they got into all the DeFi and the sketchy behavior. I really did like Binance Coin. If you traded with Binance, it made a lot of sense to hold the token. And the token has performed well. So I'm not hating on the performance. Do I think it's worth, where is it at? 200 and change?
Yeah, something like that. It's way up.
It's way up.
It
is it worth
274?
274. Ha. Is it down today? Even though that
it is. Today's up 17%.
Why wouldn't it be? They only lost $3.5 million last night. So why wouldn't it be up?
Yeah.
God, people are stupid. So my guess is that's a tricky one to price because it's like you're pricing the success of the exchange. And you know what? As much as I hate on the DeFi stuff they're doing, the exchange is successful. The exchange is nice. They do offer a lot of cool stuff. I'm going to say it's fairly priced. I'm going to say it's even valued correctly. Again, I can separate the DeFi scamminess from the actual Binance, the platform, and it's an amazing platform. And CZ, even though we wouldn't be buddies in real life, I definitely respect what he's built.
So let me give you the other view because we agree that Binance is ran by a criminal. So yeah. On Coinbase, it looks like it's going to be valued at about $100 billion, and the $100 billion is at a price target of $195 a share. Right now, it's privately trading
like 370.
Yeah, what's that?
3 something, right?
373 is what's currently privately trading by accredited investors. So it's trading at about a $200 billion valuation. So and Binance has 13.5 million users, where Coinbase has 13.3. So it's got a few more, and it does over twice the amount of transactions. Now there's more, 125 leverage, which is just more criminal activity, in my opinion. But when you look at a $42 billion market cap currently for a token that represents Binance versus a stock that would represent Coinbase, which we can get into that rabbit hole. 42 billion of Binance versus Coinbase, currently traded at $200 billion valuation by accredited investors. Maybe with that argument, you could say it's light. And I think Coinbase has done a lot of criminal activity, in my opinion, with their coincidental shutdowns. But
they're just uber racist. That's all.
I don't know if I can touch that one.
Remember the letter they put out? If you're doing all this BLM stuff, you can leave. I mean, they basically told, yeah.
That's right.
Brian Armstrong, he is the perennial douchebag, isn't he?
That's right, man. Golly, just a couple of criminals running the show over here.
At least Brian's not on the run, right? Like
yeah.
He is actually just floating somewhere,
Well, yeah, Brian's doing that white collar criminal stuff, just shaking hands with the right people. Well, he'll never be arrested,
Yeah, he's gonna retire his bald, stupid head somewhere. And
yeah.
You know what? I don't like Brian Armstrong. I think he is absolutely smarmy. He's just a creep to me. I wouldn't trust him with young kids. But he too has built something pretty massive, and I respect that. So as an entrepreneur, he's crushed it. As a person, he might be a douchebag, but there's a lot of douchebags. So It is what it is. You know, you're not there's not, you know, there's to Charles Hoskinson's credit, there's not a lot of Charles Hoskinson out there.
It's true. And I've got a question for you that might be good for the audience because I went down a rabbit hole last night. What do you think is a better representation of their respective companies, Coinbase stock or BNB token to Binance?
Neither. Because BNB token is an unlicensed security, but it's not actual security. They would never give you, but you don't own anything. It's just a token that they burn the supply. So it's got all the worst attributes of a security with none of the actual equity value, or you don't own, you know, you don't own, you know, senior debt or anything. You don't own anything. Totally. It's a token that they could nuke tomorrow and just blow up and be like, oh, well. And so you don't own anything. It's a weird, it's a litmus for the exchange, but it's not really any kind of exposure. And then with these shares that are pre-direct listing trading for Coinbase, well, that's a weird kind of closed off environment where there's a lot of weird cooked in speculation. My guess is that thing gets cut right in half when it trades publicly. Yeah, and no one's paying $380 a share for Coinbase. Get the F out of here. These guys are exiting because they know now is the time to exit. Why? Yeah. Because banks are going to be doing all this. These guys are takeout targets. There's going to be a merger. There's going to be reverse mergers for equity, things like that. These guys aren't going to exist 5 years from now, not in any meaningful way. It's going to be banks, traditional legacy finance, maintaining custody, Goldman Sachs, BlackRock, State Street, you know, BNY Mellon, Chase. They're going to have custody right there. When you go into the bank, you'll be able to custody your assets the same way you have money in a money market. And then there's going to be these DEXs, these decentralized exchanges that have no bosses, no rules. They occasionally get nuked, but when they don't, they have a lot of value and utility. And that's going to be the world. There's not going to really be, I don't think there's going to be a space for retail crypto exchanges. I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking too much of decentralized exchanges and too little of like Coinbase and stuff. But my guess is Coinbase just becomes an add-on, an extension of Fidelity or Chase or whoever acquires them through equity.
Yeah, and then that's my guess. What if you can go on Vanguard and buy the top 10 assets in crypto? I mean, you know, right. Your market share keeps eroding, even though the whole market is going up. Yep. And
that's a good hint, Adam, at the passive indexation effect making its way into digital assets, where prices gap up, and then when the buyers of last resort become the sellers of only resort, and there's no buyer of last resort, look out below. Look out below.
Up a mountain with no brakes, right?
No brakes, downhill with no brakes. That's when you find out. That's when you find out what your car's made of. How good of a driver you are.
Yeah.
Okay. Theta. Only thing I can say is I don't know how to price Theta. I think it's a little expensive. No one wants to hear this, but it's an exchange token. It's got a $5 billion market cap. But how? Like, honestly, how? I know it's cool, but 5 billion? What do they have up their sleeve? Is this really a top 20 asset? I don't think so, man. What are your thoughts?
So I did some Googling on Theta. I saw that of December of last year, they advertised that they hit 10 million users. I mean, 10 million users for a $5 billion company is kind of soft. You know, you would want to see 100 million, you know, something like that, you know, in traditional valuations. So, you know, I think Theta is built on their price. I think is built on a lot of hope for what they're going to do in the future, you know, they need to take some market share from YouTube for this to be valid. You know, there's a lot of talk about how they're going to work with NFTs, where content creators can issue NFTs to their users that could then be, you know, have a increased value in the future because of this specific content creator that licensed it on this day, and et cetera. That sounds neat if they can really pull it off with some actual value and have a market for it. It doesn't look like it's there yet, but you know, if they can make that happen and get part of this, you know, NFT narrative that's on the rise, it'll probably run for maybe another year of the NFT hype. You know, I think they might get a change on that, but you know, it seems a bit overcooked.
We'll see. And listen, I'm not taking away from it. We're broadcasting on Theta right now. I think Theta is awesome. I think it's amazing. I just don't think the price is justified. My guess is this is still a $2 token in my gut. I own some. I'm certainly not adding. I'm not going to add here. It may go to 10, but if it takes a year to go to 10, does this thing make sense with a 10 billion valuation? I don't know.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a larger and larger push for a decentralized social media. A lot of people consider YouTube to be a social media platform. I think if they can really get some fast build and funding behind them and really be a presence in a decentralized social media aspect, I think there could be some potential value there, but it seems overcooked for where it's at.
Okay, let's talk. Adam, listen, it's protocol. We're not going to go into it too deep. It's been floating around 17 to 20 bucks. I actually think it's accurately priced. It's a protocol layer. It doesn't do really good with marketing, but it has some cool tech. Staking is pretty good. I'm just going to kind of leave it there. You have any thoughts about Adam?
No, that sounds about right. I know it's been around a long time relative to a lot of these other layer ones coming in.
Still doing good. It's up almost 600% on the year. It's having a good year. Okay. Let's talk Vechain. Vechain's catching a little bit of a bid lately. But my worry is they're falling into that path of releasing quasi scammy news and passing it off as real news. And like there was a picture of some people at McDonald's from Vechain, and they were like partnership with McDonald's, and McDonald's quickly went under and said, no, this isn't a partnership. They're buying burgers at McDonald's. Sounds like a chain link partnership.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Again, it's exposure to China. It's exposure to emerging markets. That's good. It's supply chain provenance and logistics. Those are great things. They have all these partnerships. Is this a little like Tron, a little like Ripple, a little like Chainlink, where tons and tons of partnerships, but no actual use, utility, and adoption?
Yeah, I remember you talking about XRP last year, where it was even okay to sit on the sidelines and keep a close eye on these types of companies until they really show some tangible use cases, until they really have not just stated partnerships, but active transactions. And if you get your finger on the trigger, I still don't think then you'd be too late, and I think if you want a less than 1% flyer on Vechain in your crypto portfolio, fair enough. And it's a tough space because we're in a space of a lot of players over their skis. So it seems pretty par for the course for a lot of alts right now.
Price wise, do you think this 6 cents is justified? It's moved up pretty good. It's up 1,300% on the year, 128% on the month, almost 50% of that coming last week. It's pretty flat on the day, but do you think this is justified? I didn't see any volume spike. I didn't see anything. My guess is this thing's good for 4.5 cents.
Yeah, that sounds right. I think a couple $1 billion valuation, maybe around 3 cents, sounds about right to me.
Graph token's finally pushed back in the $2 range. It's up 13% on the day, 16 on the week, 138 on the month, and it's almost a 10x from where we started tracking it just a few months ago. Graph token, it's not quite layer 1, but it sits between layer 1 and layer 2. It's right on top of the protocol. It makes it a lot easier for designers and engineers to get in and bang around and create dApps. Okay, it's not a layer 1. It's kind of a layer 1.5, right? A lot like Engine. Engine's not a layer 1. It's kind of a layer 1.5. Do we think Graph token is the price is justified? Is it price valued correctly? Is it high low? Understanding that it's part of Coinbase, and as Coinbase goes with this direct listing, they're going to get out there and they're going to pump their winners. And my guess is, along with Near, they're going to talk a lot about Graph token when they pump this direct listing. What are your thoughts?
Man, I like layer 1.5 plays the way you described it. Because if I think about the traditional software world, I think of how many different companies are built on top of Linux, and Linux in itself is doing okay. But when you think about Oracle and those type of companies that sit on top that give solutions to other apps, I really like that play of almost just bridging the gap, which I think will be active for a few years. And the other thing that if Graph can pull this off, or if other companies can pull this off, to where the same idea of making it easy to launch a app on Apple and Android, so where you can launch your app on 4 or 5 different layer 1 solutions to give people their favorite flavor that it sits on top of. I think that companies that can come up with that type of tech solution to be a in between, to add some interoperability for app developers, I think there's a lot of power there. And I think that has a big use case of just sitting in between, because I think there's going to be multiple layer 1 winners. And I think the players that sit in between, but not just fully, just a regular app themselves, I think there's a lot of value there and use case potential.
So where do we price value this thing at?
I call it good. I think it's sitting about right, maybe even a little light. I like the potential, that asymmetric type of return that you hear people talk about. Sounds nice to me.
I think this is a $5 token that's currently trading for $2.09. I think this is something that people will look back and go, dang it, it was right in front of me. I missed it.
Yeah.
I think it should be, my price value is $5 right now. I think this thing goes to 10 in a run, in an explosion, in an expansion, whatever you want to call it. So that's kind of where I'm at. I think it has a lot of utility. And as they roll out to different platforms and offer that utility and those indexing servers and those services to other platforms, to other protocol layers, I think this thing just gets bigger and more embedded and more embedded. And it basically out chain link, right? And again, it's not oracles, but you know what I'm saying, as far as that kind of sitting right on top of protocols being, necessary. Okay. Engine token. Engine has had a pretty good little run. Again, it's a 1.5 play. It's not a protocol, but it's a picks and shovels play on NFTs in a sense. It's at $1.68. It's had a pretty good run. It's up 1.5% today, but it's up 112% last week, 350% on the month, almost 1,900% on the year. Pretty good flipping run. And I guess with all the excitement in NFT, my 2 cents are this thing's underpriced. I think its price value is much higher. I think this is another $4 to $6 token that's selling for $1.68. What do you think?
I was reading up more on Engine yesterday, and I really like what they've done in the NFT space. They're making it interoperable. So I saw what their play is with Minecraft, and how you can have NFT rewards that you can pull out of the game and they can sit in your wallet. And I think when you have a use case that can get to that level, I think that's going to be really attractive to players, where I can actually retract this out of the game and this can be mine to use. And then when NFT assets can be valuable between games, and then if Engine can be the player that allows NFT assets to be valuable between games, I think they've positioned themselves very well. And I think that has a lot of value to it. So even though it's had a double in the last 30 days, I still like it. I haven't sold any of my Engine. I'm hanging on tight. I don't think it's time to take profits here yet, in my opinion.
Sure would be great if we could stake it somewhere other than Bancor.
Yeah.
I mean, they promised 9%, but there's this whole thing about 100 days, and every day you grab a percentage of this insurance against impermanent loss and all this kind of stuff. You have to have a PhD in particle physics economics to really understand what that means, but it ain't there yet. I'm hoping somebody comes along like a Kraken or somebody and says, hey, we will handle some staking for you. That'd be great. Okay. Flow. What say you on Flow?
I don't know too much about Flow. I'll defer to you on this one, Nick.
If you like the NBA Top Shots and you like if you like crypto kitties and you like NBA Top Shots, you're going to love Flow. So Flow is the underlying platform. NBA Top Shots does not function off of Ethereum, although you can use Ethereum to cash into your Dapper account, right? But these transactions are categorized, everything is done on the Flow blockchain. And even the problems that you see at Dapper with some of the hangups with signing up, and at NBA Top Shots with some of the website reconstruction and management, that has nothing to do with Flow. Those are actually just, they've been bombarded with such traffic at NBA Top Shots that they're dealing with the site issues. That has nothing to do with the underlying blockchain, which is Flow. I think we're getting close to the point where this thing is valued appropriately. It's in that range of, well, let me say this. It's in the price range that makes sense, but I think this thing has a huge upside. So if you look at the market cap, it's freaking tiny. It's less than $1 billion. These guys are doing a S-ton of business. An S-ton. And WVS, you got a rare Top Shot unopened. What do you do with it? Bro, you open it and we sell it on the marketplace and you get paid, sucker. I actually bought, this is kind of a side shoot, but since we're talking Flow and NBA Top Shots, I have a Beal rookie card, a layup he did, super dope layup. And I had it's one of the rookie cards, and I'm flipping one. So I bought my way down to a number 28 card out of 10,000. So I bought it for $700. I'm about to flip that sucker for like 4 racks. Anyway, that's the stupid games we play so that we don't make mistakes in our actual portfolio. I play NBA Top Shot moments. I'd rather be doing that than something. Okay. So Flow, where should it be priced at? Man, this should be a $10 billion market cap asset. This should be $350 asset to anywhere from $350 to $500. Period. Anybody that's ignoring this NFT space, use a dummy, because whether you like it or not, this is attracting attention. You're bringing an entirely new market, all these new people, all these, collectors, investors, people that would have never given 2 poops about crypto are fumbling over themselves. Listen, Sunday afternoon, me and Phil and Alex were online waiting for our Top Shots to see if we could get in. Alex luckily got in the top 32,000. We did not. There was 170,000 people in line. Even though everyone knew that there's only 32,740 packs, the line of 170,000 maintained for 3 hours. These people are crazy. I'm one of them. This thing is huge. This token is way, way, way under price value. It's priced correctly, right? It's priced correctly. But the price value is 10x of this. This is a $350 token, period. In my mind, you're buying a dime. You're buying $1 for a dime right now. That's my gut feeling. 1inch is the only swap platform that I trust. They haven't been pilfered yet. Tiny market cap, dude. 628 million. Are you effing kidding me? Look at any of these. Curve, Yearn, Aave, Pancake Swap, Dumpster Swap, Pancake Swap, Goose Swap. I mean, look at all these platforms that are just bathing in currency units. The fact that this thing's $4, are you kidding me? This is due for, this thing's due for a 15x, maybe a 20x. I think you're buying $1 for 5 cents. This thing's way under. It's the price value. The price is correct, but price value way under, in my opinion, way under. And it has a lot of utility. When you start using the swap platform and kind of getting into, it takes a while and it's a little bit uncomfortable, but once you learn it, man, does this thing have a lot of value. And I don't know. What are your thoughts on 1inch?
Yeah, I got a sweet airdrop from them. Whenever that hit a couple months back, immediately sold half and kept half, and that half has done really well.
How'd you get the airdrop, by the way? What did you have that got you the airdrop?
Oh, so I had just verified on MetaMask that I had done enough ERC20 transactions and swaps with them previously to then get that airdrop.
Oh, sweet.
It was just through MetaMask that you were in before that airdrop happened, and then you're all good. but I haven't staked it. So, I was listening to Leroy talk about staking it. So that's on my list to do. I was comparing them to Uniswap. And Uniswap's the largest player that's out there, killing it at 11 billion per month in transaction volume. And they've had 100 billion cumulative transaction volume, which is pretty hot. And I think 1inch is, just as good as a technology platform. Haven't had the volume yet, but definitely like the user experience on 1inch. So, I think if you're that guy that likes where the whole DEX space is playing, I think 1inch is a good horse to ride. And I think Uniswap might head north as well. But I think, I think it'll also be who can get beyond just ERC20 tokens first, as far as being a DEX, and then also, who can keep coming up with these creative solutions to limit gas fees as well, while ETH is fumbling.
So what's your price value for this thing? It's at $4.36. What's your price value for 1inch?
I like it at 10, a little over maybe $1.5 billion, maybe even 12. I don't think decentralized exchanges are going away. I think as more people come into this space, I think it's got a good value prop of, why you would want to go to a decentralized exchange. I think right now, though, they're both married to ETH fees, and so if either one, whichever platform can really put a good solution around that first while ETH is fumbling, I think it could be really lights out. That's been the reason of Binance's growth, but I would like to see, them come. I think that's the ticket to it being $50 is coming up with a gas fee solution.
Yep. Okay, and real quick, let me say hello to Arkanesis. What's going on? And really quick, P-Trade, hello. WVS, your packs are worth, I believe they're worth more unopened. You might want to look at selling on eBay. Go look on eBay, look up your packs. A lot of people will sell unopened packs on eBay, and there's a pretty good little side market for that. So you might want to go take a look. Okay, and that's for NBA Top Shots if anyone's curious. We're going to skip over IOST because I don't think there's a way for us to really value it yet. So we'll hold off on that. Let's finish off with Near, Coinbase Venture, protocol layer. They basically done everything ETH2 would endeavor to do. They've already done it. It's at 5.62. It's up 25% on the day, 40 to almost 42% on the week, 85% on the month. Pretty good staking. I don't have any complaints. It's got I think it's actually a decimal off. It's about 1.7 billion market cap. I still think it's low. I think Near ends up trading in the range of Polkadot and Cosmos. So somewhere between $20 and $40 a token. That's my gut. Adam, thoughts?
Man, I think it's real interesting if you have a player like Coinbase that is going to push a lot of its launches to that protocol. Man, I mean, you could put together a quick dream team of what's going to be built on top of that if you have Coinbase behind you, especially when they're about to have a cash out here. So as soon as they're about to have a cash out an IPO, they're going to have a lot of money to have follow-up ventures and follow-up plays, and why not run it in-house on something like Near? That tells a great story. So, hey, we're not only exchange, we're a layer one solution where we then have additional tokens that launch on top of our layer one, and we have everything tied together where you can stake it here and on every level. And, somebody that's really a whole, cradle to grave type of solution that has value. And I think that might be one of those plays where, I feel like I missed the Coinbase play, or it's pretty over its skis. Oh, let me go down I'll pick up Near now that I missed Coinbase,
Yep. I believe Near is Coinbase's Ethereum.
Yeah, it makes sense.
We'll see. I think that could be really cool. Okay, let's do this. Let's back out. Let's do some final thoughts. So this was a lot of fun. We probably didn't make everyone happy. I mean, this is just two random dudes' opinions, and that's what you get. Do your own research. But you have to do this research because you need to have some kind of way to value these things yourself. If you don't do this, then when these markets are going up and down, you don't ever know when to take profit. You don't ever know when to rebalance or add. For instance, I've been adding to Near. I've been adding to Flow. I've been subtracting from Cardano. I took a little bit off the table with Polkadot when they, again, postponed their parachain offering. But you know what? When things change and the argument changes and the fundamentals change, I'll go right back in. None of this stuff is emotional. But what you have to do is don't stay stuck in a project because you like a dude that's there or you believe in the myth, the ethos, the legend story. They need to show you results. And if the results aren't there, you got to roll out or at least rebalance. And don't be uncomfortable rebalancing. It's a necessary part of life. Final thoughts, Adam.
Yeah, I like the idea of being fluid with your thinking, of exploring. I think we're all here with where Bitcoin's the base, and then we're looking for higher velocity plays, as y'all say. And so, I think it's also important not to get married, not to become part of the Cardano cult and buy their hats. So I think there's a lot to be said about being fluid in your thinking and changing your investments as the narrative changes or as the actual promises change. And I think it's a great space to vote with your dollars.
Yep. Vote with your dollars. Would you stake Engine at Bancor? We just talked about that, Sylvia. I'm not sure. Leroy and I looked at that yesterday. I didn't feel super comfortable doing all that for 9%. Nah, man. I mean, look, Engine is up 112% last week. She's saying I can stake for a whole year and get 9%. No, man, I'm out. You want to give me 30, 40% like you get with 1 inch? Okay, I'm listening. But 9%, I'd rather have control of the asset. For now, we'll see. Okay, everyone, thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sticking around. We will go ahead and get the Clubhouse show started. For everybody else on Theta, on YouTube, on Twitter, Twitch, Periscope, thank you so much for your time. We know you've got choices. You probably made a bad one, but it is what it is. Don't do anything that my drunk, insolvent, strung out on meth grandmother wouldn't do. And she's snorting chocolate sauce. And I guess that's like a mixture of formaldehyde, heroin, and PCP. Grandma.